So welcome everybody. Thank you for attending third period French. Brew some coffee if you got it. This is 1 Million Cups. We're going to be doing some presentations today, educating, connecting. If you haven't already and you still have the Zuck book, make sure to like us on the Zuck book, Facebook right there, 1MC Seattle, or on Instagram. Or if you don't get our emails is a great way to get the information for what's going on next week or which day we're taking off, since we're coming up to some days off here with the new year. And otherwise, we'll see you every Wednesday at 9 a.m. right here on Zoom until further notice. So what is 1 Million Cups? Why are you here? What's going on? We're here to share ideas, offer for help, ask for help, build our community, listen to ukuleles, support each other, and talk about under desk hammocks while drinking coffee. So that's what we're all about. And what makes us really different. So a lot of times when we meet up for business things, sometimes we'll be talking into like partnerships or selling your products or selling your ideas or trying to get some investor funding. That's not really what 1 Million Cups is about. We're here to do presentations to support each other. We're not pitching things. No investors are in the meeting that are going to invest in you. That's kind of takes the stress off you as a presenter. We're here to connect, not necessarily just hand out as many business cards as you can. Not that you can hand them out really online right now. And we're done by the community for the community. This is just something that a few organizers do because they enjoy it. It's not some huge entity that's putting it on to recruit people. And we're trying to be every week more inclusive of who is an entrepreneur. Anyone is an entrepreneur if they'd like to be, or if they think they might be, or if they think they aren't right now. So come join us. The 1 Million Cups Nation is across the entire country. We've got about 168 communities, 3,500 attendees, 700 volunteers. It's a big nation of 1 Million Cups happening all at 9 a.m. So there's like this wave of orange and caffeine going across the country right now. And we're like on the 75% done part of it. Actually, probably 80% done, because it's the whole Western coast. We just got Alaska after this one. So if you want another one after this, you can jump on over to Anchorage and they'll be there waiting for you. Oops. So our main three things, if you forget everything about 1 Million Cups is and you want to like say, hey, I saw this thing yesterday and I want you to come to it. It's about educating, presenting, and making connections for business. There you go. Three things, three pillars are the 1 Million Cup stool. Stool is not a great word. Let's move on. More than 8,000 entrepreneurs have shared their stories since the 1 Million Cups inception. This is us right here. This is 1 Million Cups Seattle in the collective, which is a beautiful space. I'm actually there right now, as you can see. You can look at the little hanging lights, same thing. No, the jig's up, I think. So we'll be back there in no time, hopefully. I've also said that since March, so we'll see. So question for everyone is, do you have all the answers and feel like you know exactly what you're doing in business? If you do, then you might not need to be here. But if you don't, then we're here to help. We being anyone on this call, anyone on the call next week, or whoever, right? We're here to kind of throw ideas out and play with it, make things happen. Got a couple cool sponsors here. Seattle Strong hosts our coffee, which when we're in person, there's always free coffee. All 1 Million Cups events have coffee to get you all jazzed up. Small Studio sponsors our meetup group, which does cost money, surprisingly. I had no idea. And Human Up sponsors our email marketing. It's a big thank you to all of them. And we've got some cool community volunteers. They are making this platform happen every single week, which takes a little bit of work. And a big thank you to all of them. So I'm really appreciative to get to work with all these people. It's been very inspiring every single week. But we always need a little bit more. So if that might be you and you're considering being a volunteer, you can reach out to any one of us and we will talk about it. So what to expect today? What are we doing today? Well, coffee and conversation, we had that already. Hopefully you guys had your coffee. I don't have my coffee today, I just have water, but it's a good start. 6-minute presentation by an entrepreneur and followed by a 20-minute Q&A. So something to consider with this Q&A is that we're all going to be asking questions. Even if you don't want to actually ask a question, you might have your video off, you might not be comfortable with it, just write it down. Practice writing it down. We're all trying to practice how to talk to each other as entrepreneurs. And then we're going to connect via breakout rooms afterwards, kind of like the after presentation chat about whatever you're going to talk about. Beavers, I don't know. People talk about weird things in those groups. couple things to know about being a supportive listener. Just think about what stands out. Try to limit your distractions. Make sure you're not like elsewhere with your mind. It's only 6 minutes, very easy to focus on. And what do you want to learn more about? What do you want to, how could you share your experience? Okay, sometimes it's hard to struggle with what you can offer because you might not think you have anything to offer, but if you did have to offer something, what would that be? You might be surprised at how it comes across. So without further ado, I'm going to stop my screen and I'm going to bring Ben onto stage. He's actually already on stage. I haven't been on stage this entire time, so I'm sitting down. So Ben is with OpenOpen, which is a great platform for, I don't want to spoil anything too much, but it's a platform for basically making the lives of home builders and other type of people that sell houses way easier. So let's bring Ben up to the stage with a nice virtual clap and take it away for us.
Teleport into Seattle. I love being here. 1 million cups is my favorite thing, and Wednesday is my favorite day of the week. So it's a pleasure to visit. That was a wonderful collection of opening remarks. I love the vibe of this community already. So it's a treat to be here. And let me tell you a little story. Can I get a thumbs up? Sweet. All right, my friends, welcome to OpenOpen. This is an open house scheduler built to save time and reduce confusion for home builders, property owners, and the folks they are working with, the residential real estate agents. I like the story aspect of this because it was a situation where once upon a time, I was working at a home builder. We were building different properties throughout our community. And as these homes were finished and ready for the public to enjoy, we were coordinating with different real estate agents as they were hosting open houses. For folks who are not in real estate, open houses are a chance for folks to come in unannounced and check out a property, meet the agent, and just kind of enjoy the home for themselves. Now, this is not very difficult to coordinate between the different people and the different properties, but it's recurring. And so every single weekend you were working with this group, even if it was a small group, and this is kind of what it led to. This is an email chain, as you can see, that I really didn't enjoy. It was over and over and over conversations, missed phone calls. And once it was all in place, I'd have to go out to the website and update it. And it just was kind of a never-ending nightmare. And so we set out to solve it with a pretty simple idea, an open house scheduler. This is a look at an early version. One of the things that we did that I'm proud of is we went to the market right away. We used our home builder and the large real estate brokerage that we were working with and coordinated this as the only way people were hosting open houses for our home builder. So as you can see, instead of all those different steps, we solved it by just using one click. Real estate agents could claim their open house and it was done. So through working together and from the feedback we heard, we continue to evolve the platform. As you can see here, you as a home builder or as a property owner can list as many different homes as you want, coordinating the schedule for each of those properties with a few details to help the agent. By no means are we relisting the home. It's just a quick glance at the property with details associated to an open house experience. So with the details, maybe the garage code or beware of the dog or different details about the open house, you can also, from any device, manage the schedule for this open house. And on the other side, the agents being able to manage those, grow the team without adding time to the equation has really been an interesting discovery. We went from one to like that group of 5 or 6 folks we grew the team to like 30 people, and I wasn't doing any more work. And so the result was every house had an agent in it. These agents were generating valuable leads and selling homes. And so this is a look at the agent's dashboard that has evolved. As you can see, each of the properties has the date and time. Once you claim that open house, it unlocks the ability to provide feedback and add it to your own calendar. And so the free prize that we threw into the mix was a real-time embed feature. So as open houses are claimed, that little snippet of code can go on any website, and now your real-time open house schedule is accurate on any one of your pages. So thinking about like the story of what we've built here, it's clear that we've reduced the time, eliminated a lot of the confusion, while boosting the efficiency for this lead generating process. If you haven't gathered, this is definitely a double-sided market. We're working with home builders and property owners, kind of the small, medium, and even large. I think as it goes, as the company gets larger, the efficiency, the value of efficiency increases. But it's very valuable for smaller companies as well. On the residential realtors, we're working with brokerages to provide this tool to their agents as a differentiator for their company as they work with more of their property owners and home builders. The monthly fee is kind of at beta pricing. We're still pretty early on, but we want to make this kind of a no-brainer. So at that monthly fee for home builders, only $50 a month. With brokerages, you have just a larger amount of people interacting with the system, so it's a little bit more expensive. We've heard this is low, but that's okay. We're interested in continuing to build our roadmap using the feedback from customers. Speaking of customers, the traction that we've had is still early, but exciting. Naturally, we used Drake Homes to build the product, but then the kind of blessing from our local home builders association and working with a large broker has been a real treat to ensuring that A, we have something worth commercializing, but then B, having that wisdom as we approach the market. I think ideas and markets are important, but it comes down to the team and the ability to execute. So he might join us in a little bit, but Ben Sinclair is my co-founder. We've enjoyed building technology in the past, but have really enjoyed creating something that provides value in the residential real estate industry. So appreciate everyone's attention today. It's been a treat sharing what we're building here at OpenOpen, and looking forward to the best part. Let's have some conversation. Thanks, 1MC Seattle.
Wow, Ben. Teleported right on in. Love it. Standing up and 6 minutes. Congratulations. For those that aren't aware, Ben is actually also involved in 1MC. That's why he has a cool 1MC cup. He's one of the Midwest reps. So yeah, he's even got, look at that, a clicker that says 1 million cups on it. I too aspire for such greatness someday, to have that screen printed onto a piece of plastic on a little clipper. So if you've got questions or ideas or things you'd like to throw at Ben, just raise your hand with the little hand up device. I can share my screen. There it is. So that's how you can ask a question if you'd like. And then we're going to kind of jump into some of them, or you can type a question into the chat and I can read it aloud. So we've got a couple options here. So let's get going. I see Jolene's hand up, so let's start with you.
Hi. So my question is that I'm curious, one, how you came to your pricing, two, if your pricing for larger groups, it sounds like it doesn't matter how many users are in those groups, it's a flat pricing for the organization. And yeah, talk more about pricing, please.
Thanks, Jolene. It was a pure guess. I mean, it's an interesting situation when you have a platform that's already built, tech founders who, the cost of development for us is time. And so really we have something that is ready to scale. And even if we grabbed one paying client at that, any of those, it would start to add up and make this thing profitable. So we wanted to initially come out of the gate with a price that made it feel valuable. You know, we're not giving it away for free, so it's not just kind of, okay, cool, we have it, and then it's done. But also we looked at like different platforms in the home building industry and in real estate and looked at the pricing that they were at and kept it kind of under that realm. And so it was this, I want it to be a no-brainer, as it's a piece of a tool belt. So it's not this huge dynamic system that does everything for the company. And so making it less expensive, you can add a little less value and it still feels like a good investment.
Love that. Thank you.
Wonderful. And we've got Tessa next with a hand.
Hello, Ben. Thank you for your presentation. It was smooth. One note, I don't know if this happened to anyone else, but like when you were talking about your team, I couldn't see anything on the slide. So I'm not sure if anyone, or it's like it was really dark or something. I don't know if that happened to anyone else, but everything else was good. What came up there? Was it his?
It was a photo of the other Ben. We are the Bens.
Okay. The Bens.
But it had a darker background, and with the sunlight, perhaps it looked more like a black.
Okay. I don't know. I was like, I saw everything else good.
It happened another time too, where you were talking about, oh, and this is the team dashboard, but you weren't on their dashboard yet. You were on like the phone on the journal.
I blame Zoom.
I don't. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was the problem. But anyway, I was just trying to be helpful. Could have been me. Anyway, but that was like right out of the gate. The questions I had, two. Do you have any competitors? And like what does your competitive landscape look like? And what is the biggest hurdle for you going forward? Is it like market uptake? And if that's it, can you tell me the next biggest hurdle?
Thanks, Tessa. Those are great questions. I'll try to tackle both. The competitive landscape is interesting. I mean, we set out to find this tool before we built it. And so really the competition is your traditional calendars, which aren't really the same. The other side of the spectrum would be like your full-blown project management platforms that might have an open house component in it, but it's this huge thing. And so really this a la carte open house scheduler piece is hard to find in and of itself. So that's why we set out to build the tool. The second question there is a loaded one. What's next and what's our biggest hurdle? We're somewhat in an interesting situation because open houses are still taboo. So we've purposefully stayed in hibernation and had these wonderful caffeinated conversations in order to learn how we need to continue building the platform. But the next step is the early adopters. We've got a platform that's probably more built than it should be with the stage that we're in and the lack of revenue that we have. But one of the big questions that we have is it simple enough to understand as we talk about it with both sides of the market? So it's a very simple concept. And when I do demos, like you feel like you need to talk more. It's just so quick and easy, but that's the beauty of it, right? Mm-hmm. So can you relay that simplicity to both sides, the home builders, but also the real estate agents, and more importantly, the brokerage owners that could invest in this for their team? And we're starting to lean towards like just going after home builders first and foremost, simplifying the message so it's just very, very concise, and maybe not worrying about the carrot that is perhaps more money when you have larger dollars associated to a brokerage account, and really delivering this to an environment where it was built out of. We built this out of necessity as a builder. And so finding more of these builders that are, maybe 5 or more homes a year, and working to either add efficiency for their team or scale the amount of folks that have access to their homes.
I think like I'm just listening to you, like that makes a lot of sense to me in the idea of create a demand from the people that the brokers are working with, because like brokers I feel like have, and the real estate agents just have all of the time and energy to schmooze and write emails and make just do and like having them be like, hey, we don't want it to be this frustrating, we need you to have this like app or this program so that we can just streamline this. And that that's a really cool and really interesting way of approaching creating demand. I like it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Tessa. Those are thought-provoking questions. I really appreciate it.
And Katie next coming in with a question.
All right. Yeah, I agree. Like in terms of your presentation and your energy, all really engaging. I thought that the story and the arc that you were using was really powerful. The hearing you talk about the market fit, I'm actually glad I didn't go before, because I wouldn't have asked this question, or offered this piece of feedback. But I think that because, I mean, as entrepreneurs, the closer we are to something, the harder it is sometimes to pull ourselves back out, right? And tell the story from a 3,000 foot view or 30,000. And I feel like that kind of imagery, like I think it would be helpful to be able to articulate even on like one slide, like what is the process, right? Like how broken is the process? And how are you making it better? Right. I think if you could fit that in one slide, I'm visualizing like icons or something. And maybe you even have your base slide be like, hey, here's the 3 steps, like builder sets an open house. This is what I think I understand from your product, right? Builder sets an open house, puts the parameters, realtor looks for open houses and selects open houses, realtor pushes open house data onto their website, right? Like those are kind of the 3 major steps. But like if you had like arrows going all crazy places, because that's what it's like now, versus in the future state with yours, it's like boom, boom, boom.
10-4, Katie. I appreciate that feedback.
Did I get it right? Is that the right process?
It's a little different for different people, different companies. You know, the property is the one piece of the puzzle, and then the person is the other piece. And so whether it's one person or many people coordinating to this open house experience, I try to do that in those earlier slides. We're highlighting the properties and the people that we're interacting with and the recurring, and then showing like this communication nightmare. But visualizing the players a little bit more in a single slide might help folks that are outside of the industry. I think that's the takeaway there, is that what's an open house, and you know, where's the value of that and the experience that goes behind the scenes. This is an internal workflow tool. And so sharing it from more of an outside perspective is good in these environments. And then translating that into like a prospect meeting, you can probably skip that because they're more aware of the ins and outs.
I guess I would challenge you on that. I feel like I'm guessing that your major prospect actually would be home builders, because if you have no homes on there, it doesn't matter if you have realtors in your system, right? So the home builders have to know that this is better than the others, right? Like, so is it speed to sale, right? Like take out the overhead to get to a sale, right? Like kind of using some of that maybe more clearly would probably help everybody.
Okay, thanks, Katie.
Thank you, Katie, for the question and the challenging. We love a good challenge here. I'm going to sneak in with my own question. First of all, comment on that slide about like the email back and forth with like all the vertical bars that keep going and going and going. That invoked all the anxiety I needed to be able to say, I can sympathize with that and screw that. That's why I have like most people as an auto scheduler these days, because that is just, you will lose all of your day. So that's a great slide. Keep that in there. Really evokes it. My question to you, so I work kind of in some integrations. I'm a contractor to make these type of platforms integrate into other platforms. Do you have a Zapier plugin for this and anything like that? Do you have an easy like drag and drop integration solution for your OpenOpen?
So there's no Zapier connection. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are maybe afterwards on the functionality that would serve. I would say right now, the best example would be that embed feature. So it allows the real-time schedule to get dropped onto any page of a website.
Yeah, I guess my question about that is like, how do you originally populate your tool with like houses? So, you know, if you're working with a smaller home builder that has like a dozen or whatever, but if you start scaling up and say, I want to integrate with, you know, we have hundreds of new things? Is it just like a CSV you dump it in and then someone has to always update that? What if it sells? Like, my concerns here about the maintenance, like how do you maintain this tool easily without it becoming this big burden?
Yeah, great question, man. I would say that right now we don't have that feature in place for like the bulk or automatic updates. I think about an MLS connection as our future state,
Okay.
knowing that the data from the home listings could flow in, but more importantly, that open house data could flow back out into a place that is then out on Zillow and out on all the different real estate sites. And so that's where we're headed, I think, with some integrations. But to your point, it would not be very difficult to allow for more of a bulk upload. And all that said, the current status quo is that you have an individual who is basically manually managing this. And so whether that's a spreadsheet or this collection of emails, they're just kind of this middle person that's doing the manual data entry. And so even if you had a fair amount of properties, adding a property to OpenOpen, it takes about maybe 20 seconds. Like, it's very, very easy to just throw in and manage the schedule. So I think there's room for growth in that direction. And it will probably be more important once we snag that first big home builder that has 100 homes listed at one time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. That makes sense to me. And the last kind of more technical thing I got a question on is the embed is, do you have concerns of that going out of fashion, embedding things like in sites? It kind of seems like, from my perspective, that's kind of going away, and more API integration so that they can use their own branding perfectly and it matches perfectly and works perfectly on their web front end.
I wish Sinclair was here. He's the wizard that builds from black screens. I have a computer science degree, but I'm more of the nerd to layman translator. So I don't know. Good thoughts though. Right now it feels very flexible, being able to use it in any environment, but allowing, in my mind, like more development using the API type of structure. I value that type of open structure a lot. And it almost starts to think like in the future state again, as this thing evolves, it would be generating more valuable features, but also data that could be used in that API type of setting.
Exactly. Yeah. So that, I was just kind of curious more of that, because like essentially what you're saying, your position stuff is very specific, a sliver. We do this thing. We're not your multiple tool that does all this stuff, which I think is a good thing, because you can get into a trap if you go that way, because then you're not optimized for anything. You know that works. So just being very aware that, okay, if you're going to be a sliver, make sure you're really good at integrating. So thanks for answering the question, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more technically later. I think the next hand up was Eric.
Hey, Ben, great job. Love it. My first question is, everyone seems to be focused on your discussion of a home builder putting up a new home and such. But am I wrong in assuming that this can be done for an existing home that's just being put on the market that's through a realty company? So the realty company can use this to also schedule their stuff. Am I right there, or is this mainly for new homes?
Yeah, Eric, you're on target. Existing properties have open houses as well. I will say that new houses without current tenants are a lot easier to host open houses in versus working around yet another person's living environment. But if you think about the efficiency that we're talking about, it would seem to add more efficiency to those homeowners if they could quickly know what was going on, and maybe even being a part as a user into the platform, having awareness for their own home. And so I think you're right. It's definitely, in my mind, optimized for a new construction environment because of the ease of open houses, and maybe the frequency of open houses are higher, but it would definitely work in existing properties. The one area that it don't feel like it adds a lot of value is for the for sale by owner, or the part-time real estate agent that's only has one house at any time, or a one-person builder that's only doing one project a year. Like, at a certain point, you don't need a scheduler if it's just you and one other party. This really starts to activate early on, but it does seem to be most valuable when you have multiple properties paired with multiple people interacting with them.
Okay, and so just so I can be clear on this, because I'm not in the industry at all, let's say there's a house that's being represented by a real estate company. Would they be the only company that would do an open house? I know that people, any real estate agent can take someone to see the home, but would they be the only one who would do the open house there? Or could multiple companies do an open house with the same property?
That's a great question, Eric. I'm kind of an outsider to this industry. I was in web development for 8 years before going in-house and kind of retiring. And so I'm an outsider in this industry as well. And it's very anti-collaborative in my mind for the rules, like the way things work here in Iowa. I'm based in Des Moines, Iowa. I don't know if I mentioned that. But in our environment, if you have a home listed under one brokerage, another agent within that brokerage can host open houses, but not outside of that brokerage.
Okay.
So it's kind of a mix between that. That might be different. That's an area that we should probably research a little bit more. How different brokerages play in the same sandbox. But thinking about this tool less as like this open marketplace and more like an internal workflow where I'm adding trusted agents into this environment that have access now to certain properties, I think is good versus, I'm an agent, I'm just looking for open houses. This is a little bit more of an internal workflow experience.
Yeah, so it's really not changing with the customer. That person who's buying, they're not really seeing a difference in their life, but it's making life better and more smooth and frictionless for the home builder. Okay.
The
Okay,
real-time
cool.
schedule, the accuracy of knowing which ones are available, and you think about maybe a route creator to add efficiency to your tours on a Sunday. Zillow does that, so we're not trying to rebuild that wheel, but that free prize is kind of the only exposure to the public, but it would add value from a marketing perspective for these more industry type of users.
Cool, and I love the picture with the wine cellar. We'll be there soon.
This was taken at the La Crema tasting room down in Sonoma. So you Pinot Noir folks are lucky to have so much abundance nearby. Turns out Iowa is not the place to grow grapes. So we try, and it's different, right? That's the value add. Well,
I like that value add. I also like this term you keep bringing up as the free prize, Ben, like when talking about customer. It's fascinating to me. I haven't heard that.
I got the cereal as a kid.
Yeah,
right? You didn't buy the cereal for what you were going to eat. You bought it for that little thing you got in the box.
A spoon that changes color.
In the dashboard, it actually was called Free Prize, knowing it would create intrigue.
Yeah.
And it comes from a Seth Godin book from way back in like 2004 called The Free Prize Inside.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that little tidbit. We're going to jump into Ryan's question next, and then Jolene will be right after.
Hey, Ryan.
Howdy. Hey, I apologize for showing up late. I'm here in Arizona, and I just got off another call, and I didn't realize that it was only 9 o'clock over where you're at. So I'm afraid I missed the entire presentation, so I won't ask about that. Logistically, are you in front of a big TV? How are you doing this? How do the rest of us level up so we could be standing in the middle of a room with a coffee mug and like using the clicker to do the presentation, like huddled over a laptop, you know?
Well, you're actually sitting on my basement bar with a laptop, and the clicker allows me to step away and do the standing thing. I've felt the energy just shift a little bit when I'm presenting, knowing that that's how we would normally be presenting in person. So I've enjoyed that, and it's good practice.
Cool.
You didn't miss.
It's
very simple though, Ryan. This open house scheduler is like easy.com, right? It's a place where multiple properties can connect with multiple agents and make it a single click to claim when it comes to securing open house schedules.
Cool. Very cool.
Last question from Jolene.
I keep on trying to like unmute myself. Anyways, okay. First time Zoom user here today. Okay, so 2 questions. One, with pricing, can people come in and out of that month subscription? Like if like you said, they're a 5-house kind of developer, or they're a part-time whatever, or are they paying monthly, or are you billing annually and requiring them to bill annually? Are you doing annual discounts? And then next question I have, I'm sorry, it's a two-part question. What features in the future are your kind of version, 2.0?
Jolene, I like your focus on making money. Sometimes entrepreneurs, we lose sight that that's important to allow us to keep building.
Here's the thing, that it's where I am in my business right now. And so that's why
Gotcha.
I have to, I'm doing pricing.
Yeah, pricing is very difficult. And I really don't think you're ever going to come up with the right answer until you interact with the market and start feeling how people are responding to the price that you give them. So far, we've been receiving the feedback, well, wow, this is super low. We pay thousands of dollars a month for our other things. And my response to that is, actually, that's cool. We're not trying to undervalue this tool. We actually want to work with you to continue the evolution of this project. And so our interest is bringing you on with kind of a no-brainer price versus this big check that makes it a hard decision. So like I said earlier, it's definitely somewhat of it's an educated guessing game. But one way we make sure people can feel the experience so that it doesn't require a bunch of manual interactions is that we've allowed people to have the entire feature set at a free trial for 1 month. And so we've built, right now, our development is focused on automating that free trial process. So Jolene can come to the site, set up a free trial, and have access for a month without talking to us. We then, once that's in place, which is super close, we're going to activate kind of that sales funnel sophistication so that we can start using the amount of resources that we have to target these specific audience segments, knowing that we can receive audience and activate them into trials. Once they're in the trial, we thought about maybe a smaller feature set or only allowing a certain amount of agents or a certain amount of homes. No, just give them the full thing so that they can start using it. And once that kind of teeth is hooked, I promise if you've used a spreadsheet or done any of the things that I've experienced firsthand, I don't do anything anymore. Like it's from my phone a couple of clicks each week and we're done. So we think that once they're in, the likelihood of them thinking that there's a better way is low, but they can leave at any time. To answer your question, yes, there's a discount on the annual thing, but we're still exploring what that's going to be. So I'm sorry I don't have a strong answer on that direction, but the stage that we're in, paired with the hibernation that we've kind of had to be forced into, has us in an earlier state as where we would have wanted to be. But we've spent the time learning from the feedback, continuing to build. And as I said earlier, it's kind of funny, but this platform is way built beyond what it probably should be in the cycle that we're in with very few paying customers.
Thanks, Jolene. Before we get to our last question, I got to sneak in with one more comment, Ben. So this idea of a free month trial, I see this happening a lot in companies, and I think that we're all stuck on this 1 month mentality when I think it's very wrong for a lot of people. I mean, you paint the picture of some person's frustrated, doesn't like the current status quo, goes, signs up for the free trial, starts to get like traction internally for it, and then the trial's over. Maybe think about with your team, what can we do instead? Can we do free for your first 2 open houses, 3 open houses, maybe less time-based? They're like, oh, we'll get to that project in a bit, we're so busy, whatever. And then they run out of steam before anything happens.
Yeah, I've actually suggested that to Sinclair, because you give them a full month and all of a sudden, if they don't use it right away, they forget about it. And it's like this, it's kind of offering it for free. It's the same negative effect that can come with that. And so while we want them to get into the system so they can see it, you can't experience it until you have this profile. We also don't want to create this like ability to procrastinate and all of a sudden lose the taste of activating it. So any thoughts on taking, no matter how the trial is set up, taking that early interest into like what they use, even if they're paying for it or not? That's a big transition. And in this industry, change is feared and technology is, somewhat shunned against at first. you go through the chasm of change and you come out so much better in the end.
The J
But
curve.
that's the natural challenge I think we're up against in this industry. Tessa, I see your hand raised.
And Katie.
And- I was just thinking that like, just came to me like that. Well, I've been dealing with Constant Contact at the moment, and they're like ruthlessly like have people who call you to like be your person who's dedicated to getting you onboarded onto this thing and like helping you out, and like, and yours is so simple that you could literally just have like a person dedicated to you're my account, but with like less lame terms, like salesy terms, but like this is my account, and I'm like going to be the person who's like, hey, saw that you've not jumped on yet. Do you want me to run you through some stuff, step you through this thing? It's super easy. And then like get that to get the ball running. So there's like some external pressure that's friendly. But anyway, I just thought that like that could work really well with this business, since you seem to have such a simple message, and it is quite easy to, it's not like high level needs to like get them onboarded and using it. It's just like a little poke.
It's very easy to understand. It takes 5 seconds, right? Personally offering that while balancing not overbearing them, because this is a piece of a much larger puzzle. And then complementing that with like an onboarding wizard. And so as you, bring on the new game on your phone, there's a million things that it brings you through so that you feel comfortable enough to go forward. That's another piece of that next version that you'll see here coming from us soon.
Katie, really quick.
Just whenever you think about going in these different directions, I would just remind you and remind all of us to keep it simple, right? You can do onboarding right now, very low tech with email automation, right? You don't have to build the overlay and all the fancy whatever, right? Like, especially like not investing too much in that technical debt before you have revenue to pay yourselves, right?
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. Very good pushback on that. We've also got Ryan, our last question. We got to finish up this morning.
Back for round two. First, I want to know if you have like a ready to go out of the box like trigger or event that you could use for Google Analytics. I'm imagining that someone embeds your object on their website, and I want them to be able to create Google Analytics audience for people who thought about the open house and actually clicked on it versus people who like just looked at it but didn't actually sign up for one. So that's one question. And the other one is a comment. Just looking at the website here, I think that you should add additional pages to be specific to the needs of home builders, and then again for real estate agents. They're both kind of together on this features page. And I just think that they're going to have a different set of needs that they'd want to be they'd want to have addressed on the website before thinking about hitting you up for the trial or anything else. That's all.
Ryan, great thoughts. Separating the features or the talking about value for the specific segments would make a lot of sense. As you go through this trial setup, we identify the type of user you are. And so having those trial setups on each one of those pages would make it even easier to identify who's coming from where. To your first question about having those instances to track analytics, I think as this thing continues to be used, we're going to end up having some interesting data that I would envision us returning back as an added value. So to your point, how many open houses have you hosted? How many sales does that result? Like having some of that stuff in something that feels like, a Fitbit environment, something fun for you to interact with from an analytical perspective makes a lot of sense. I think that's down the road a bit, but it's definitely an area that we recognize as valuable. And then another piece that comes to mind when you talk about that is the sales funnel, the communication funneling. Same with Katie's thought, like having that instance where after you fill out the form, the trial form, that activates the onboarding communication trickle. Or if you have someone that stalls out, where do they stall, and activating that specific cadence. So that's definitely next as we prepare to kind of spend our money. But I don't know how it is in Washington, but open houses, like this industry hasn't really slowed down. It's been one of the better years for real estate. People are at home, they want a new place. But in-person gatherings are still a little awkward. And so it's okay for us to slow play this. And while the luxury of being able to build something that we enjoy and doesn't need to succeed for us to be financially stable, that can lead to crushing procrastination. And so trying to balance this like hobby that pays with my best friend, that this is something we enjoy building alongside with, well, that's right, we built a electronic beer flight paddle that has a color touchscreen in it. So you can kind of highlight each of the brews and have data around your beer flights.
Awesome.
Balancing that is something that I'm very conscious of. And I think it comes down to your personal bandwidth and managing your career portfolio, knowing that the slices of diverse activity, knowing when to commit, growing those slices with resources, and knowing when to maybe let that sit for a moment until the environment is ready for it again. So sorry, I kind of tangent into a little more philosophical energy there, but it's been an interesting time building things in a beer festival and beer environment that's been paused. And same with kind of the open house experience that's also been paused. But fortunately, we have these other activities that allow for hibernation without failure.
Thank you, Ben. Last follow-up, I promise. I was asking because I come from a digital ad background, and the savvier people that you want to sell to at the enterprise level, the home builders, they're going to want to build different audience lists for people who've interacted with your open houses, so they can hit them with ads to say like, hey, remember this open house is going on, for those who didn't actually sign up to attend, stuff like that. It's just a feature that I think those people would be looking for. And if your object's embedded in such a way they can't build those audiences, then they're going to be less than thrilled. That's all.
Very good. Yeah, I could see us evolving the public interactions and the value that spawn from those as the internal workflow customers continue to grow. Great thoughts though, Ryan. I appreciate everyone's feedback today. This has been a caffeinated treat. I started in Kansas City, went over to Iowa City for a town hall, and then teleported into Seattle. So this is my third cup of coffee, and I am feeling fresh and appreciate everyone's attention this morning.
Into the jittery stage yet? Wow. See, riding the wave across. Well, thank you everyone for great questions, and Ben, very engaging dialogue and a lot of thoughtful tidbits I'm going to keep with me. Make sure you write down your thoughtful tidbits, everyone, in case so you don't forget them, or just have a good memory. I do not have such a thing. We're going to kind of cruise right along here since we're running out of time. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, not that screen. Let's share that screen. First down Zoom as well here. Okay, so our last and favoriteest question we always ask to our presenters is, what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Thank you. My favorite question, and I knew it was coming, but it's definitely the natural ask is to think about your innovative real estate agents, think about the home builders, and maybe creating a conversation that would allow us to learn from their perspective and maybe bring them on board. It would be a treat to start working within the Seattle community and throughout your state. So that would be the natural ask that you hear from everyone, like spread the word and connect me to clients. But I think beyond that, I think like for me as an entrepreneur, and I know for Sinclair as well, we thrive on these entrepreneurial experiences with other entrepreneurs. And so I think you as a community, knowing that I have such a heart for the 1MC experience, continue to consistently connect with fellow entrepreneurs, building things that matter, using that passion to continue educating through that experience, and allowing yourselves to kind of ride this roller coaster with fellow entrepreneurs. We're in this, I'm not going to even say that, but it's like the weekly innovative energy shot that a lot of us need to continue building things that we care about. And so by simply creating a place for us to connect over coffee is I think what you can continue doing as a 1 Million Cups community. And so that's beyond OpenOpen or Ben McDougal, and more about all of us finding value in the support, the enthusiasm, the passion, the energy, and the importance of each other.
Wonderful. You had the most, very waxing today. Lots of waxing, philosophical. I love it. Thank you, Ben. And then we're turning this back around on everyone else. What can you do for the 1 Million Cups community? Well, some of the veterans of the Seattle chapter will know you can bring a friend next week. Aha, gotcha. So do so. Anyone that you think might be helpful or might get a lot of help from being around all these entrepreneurs, like Ben was saying. It's a very inspirational thing. Okay. If you'd like to present and you have not presented yet, or you need to refill your presentation, all you need to be doing is trying something new, willing to ask for help, and willing to learn by doing. We don't always have all the answers here. Easy to apply. Applying doesn't mean you're going to present necessarily. So just kind of, if you're on the fence, just gonna push you over a little bit, and you can just go to that website and fill it out. It's pretty easy peasy. Who here's presented on Women in Cups before? Yeah. See, look at all those hands in the air, like they just don't care. Also, if you want to get involved, I'm going to plug this again and be an entrepreneurial helper, you can join as an organizer. It's not that big of a bar to clear too. We need one more person to plug that little hole there, make it a 2x3. We do have a little bit. Okay, we're going to do really quick breakout rooms. This is going to be 2 minutes, and then you can stay if you want. If you can't, you don't have to, just to say hi and see what everyone's working on. Breakout rooms are a place to just talk about anything, the presentation. Maybe if you end up with a host, you can chat with them about that a little bit more in dense, or what's going on, what are you working on, what questions do you have, what are you stuck on with work right now. So we're going to connect on with a couple people right here, and other than that, I'm going to set that up. And thank you everyone for showing up and coming over here today, jumping on your Zoom meeting. Let's get this party rolling. Automatically assign. That's what we're going to do. All right, so free pass to go when you're full. Thank you everyone for coming, and we will see you maybe in the break rooms here. Next week is, are we meeting next week, Saki? We'll check for the emails. Yes, we are.
Yes,
I forgot. We have one big special event next week.
Yeah.
The last one of the year, right?
2 more.
2 more. Dos más.
2 more.
Okay, you're right. 2 more special events. I
Not
don't care.
Christmas yet.
No, but you know, it's December. All right, thank you everyone. We're gonna jump into these breakout rooms. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.